I am here today to talk to you about an unexpected lesson we did not anticipate when we first started scaling up ideas across the country. So a few years ago, we started launching scale projects that were collaborative, where we would take an idea that had been proven on one campus and scale it to the other campuses in the UIA. And this sounded very logical, right? Like you share the idea, people look at it, they decide if they want to do it, and then, magic, like people are going to just borrow the idea. Little did we know that one of the most important elements of scaling innovation that I think that we could have better designed for is that first process of learning. We initially, one of the ways that we're learning this is we're unpacking one of our big projects that launched in 2015, 2016. And what we did is we brought everyone to the campus that was the quote unquote mentor campus, the campus that had been using the idea, the campus that has seen great results. And we invited in the people who were going to be in charge of implementing. So that division that would have had the authority necessary to tell everyone what to do. And what we found now is that it turns out it doesn't matter if people have authority over an area to try and coax scaling to happen. You actually need to have an intentionally designed process for everyone who's going to be involved to learn about the idea. Because otherwise what we do is it's just the same as you've seen before, where someone from on high tells you that you're going to do X or you're going to do Y, or this is someone else's idea. And you deal with this resistance that is natural within an organization. It's something that you can plan for. And so one of the lessons that we've learned is you don't get people to agree to an idea, to learn about an idea, and then just sign on. There has to be a process by which you educate layers of individuals about different nuances of an idea. It's not just predictive analytics. It's not just proactive advising. There are layers of, the perspective of the advisor. There's perspective of the person in charge of advising. There's the perspective of the student. There's the person who's doing the data stuff. All of those things mean that there is learning to unpack that comes from a different vantage point. So you don't get to just say, hey, you work for this division and your boss just told you that you're going to do this idea. There needs to be a much more strategic, intentional, and collaborative process so people can really kind of unpack and to some degree stress test, pressure test an idea so that they can feel a sense of ownership about it. Because what we found is that a couple years in, everyone agreed to this project, everyone signed up for this project, and yes, we've had some good results. But ultimately, I think one of the things that held us back is that we didn't do this learning process in a way that was as intentional and as strategic as we needed to. And so why I'm sharing this with you today is that I know a lot of campuses and a lot of folks around the country are thinking about scaling up innovation. That's the hot topic. There's all kinds of opportunities out in the broader ecosystem, encouraging people to do this kind of work. And I just want to make sure that folks are learning in real time from what we found, which is the process of unpacking the idea is its own process. The process of learning about the idea is not just telling people, it's not just materials, and it's not just letting people do a site visit. You have to layer the learning, and it has to be over time, and it needs to be very inclusive, and it needs to be something that you probably should have a whole design charrette around the process of learning about an idea. Because we made that mistake, and we're fixing it in terms of leaning in to try and figure out how we could have done better. And we're trying to make sure that this next project, chatbots, that we're not just saying, hey everyone, it's chatbots, jump on board, or your boss said you're doing chatbots, so get in line. What we're trying to do is make sure, who needs to understand this idea, where it's been applied, and how could they riff on this idea. And again, the most important piece is if you're bringing an idea in, an innovation that's been proven somewhere else, the most important thing you can do is find an independently urgent problem that idea solves. Because people have coalesced already on a campus. They have identified problems that are creating issues for them, and they want things to be better. And so if you can find a way to connect an innovation that has been proven to do X with a problem that has palpable energy around it, a Y on your campus, that is the kind of marriage that leads to the scaling pace that would actually be more effective. And, in the end of the day, one of the secrets about this work is that most of the work is free. Most of the stuff that happens on our campuses, we don't have money for. Most of the really impressive, selfless things that are going on, we don't have resources for it. It requires people to actually believe in something and to know that it's the right thing and to want to do it and to understand it and see its value, so they're willing to put their own time in, their own energy in, and they're willing to look for chances to leverage some other work they're doing to try and help the project. And so part of what we're trying to do with these Facebook Lives is make it so that we don't take forever to share our ideas with you, and we don't polish them up and redact them and come up with another, PDF brief for you to download that's like super boring and nobody wants to read. We're trying to come up with new ways that we think are meeting you where you are. So this is a real-time learning for us, and we're trying to figure out how, now that we know this, how would we engineer all of our work in the future to reflect this learning? And that's its own process too. So it's really important to make sure it's okay for failure to exist, for things to be imperfect, and for you to not judge them, and to create a learning space whenever there is something that ends up being a little unexpected, because the only way we get better is if we make it safe for us to admit that, well, we've all failed. And in fact, failure is just more information about how we could do things better. So I hope this is helpful for you today. If not in a collaborative grant project, perhaps there's something that you're working on where thinking about how you educate others about the idea as we use the word buy-in, but how could you rethink how you bring buy-in, essentially? So I hope this is helpful to you, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.